Funko Pop maker admits it might not survive another year as sales crash. Earlier this week, a news article, or if that's what you want to call it, made by Dexerto, not sure who they are. From what I've seen in some of the replies and comments on some of the posts talking about this, is that they're not very reputable. But that's besides the fact, I don't know who they are. I've never heard of them before. This is the first time I've seen any of their stuff. They made an article stating that Funko was about to go bankrupt. And this is based off of SEC filing that Funko did, Securities and Exchange Commission, pretty much saying there is substantial doubt about our ability to continue as a going concern for the next 12 months. To Funko collectors, the sentence is crazy, but honestly, I would not worry about it that much. And that might seem biased coming from me because my name is literally RyeThePopGuy. I have a lot of Funko Pops in my collection. I'm not in my collection room today, but usually in my background, you would be able to see that I am a big Funko Pop fan. And I'm not saying that in any biased way. I mean, we can literally look at the facts in today's video, and I don't think Funko is going to be going anywhere within the next 12 months. The title is very clickbaity. I'll get to that later in the video though. Let's actually talk about the post. The post starts off by saying Funko has warned investors that it may not survive another year after reporting a sharp decline in sales and issuing a formal notice about its financial stability. Which honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about like I just mentioned. I feel like it's more a legal requirement that they have to do since they are publicly traded and less of something they actually believe is going to happen. I'll get to that later in the video. Let's keep on talking about the article. It continues by saying, the collectibles giant behind the Pop Vinyl brand posted net sales of $250.9 million for the third quarter of 2025, down 14% from the same period last year, and recorded a net loss of roughly $1 million. I don't know if that's true because all the stuff is available online for you to see all their financial stuff. If we actually look at the quarter 3 Funko financial report, one of the top sentences right there literally says net income was $0.9 million. There wasn't any loss. So I'm not sure what they meant by there was a loss of $1 million if there was a gain of $1 million net income. I don't know, maybe I read that wrong, but let's continue. The company cited failing demand, higher tariffs, and tighter retail inventories as major challenges in what it described as a difficult retail environment. Is this a surprise to anybody? No, not really. With tariffs, Funko actually has had to increase the price of many different products they've been releasing. And that's not just a Funko thing, that's literally anything and everything being released right now. All companies are struggling due to these tariffs. It's not like anything really new to anyone. And how they mentioned difficult retail environment, I mean, it's just everything. Like no one's actually going in stores to buy anything anymore. It's all online. So I don't know. It just seems like they're very trying to put this onto Funko here when I feel like it's more of like a broader thing that every company is experiencing. But to continue, it says that Funko's troubles follow years of explosive growth fueled by its vinyl collectibles, which once dominated shelves at Walmart, Target, and comic book stores. Still is dominating Walmart's shelves, by the way. I will get to that later, but Walmart actually has acknowledged that Funko is one of their top sellers, and I'll talk about that later. But as overproduction flooded the market and consumer interest waned, the company's once steady profits began to collapse. Reports from industry tracker ICV2 shows that Funko's US sales plunged 20% year over year, accounting for most of its overall revenue drop. And I know I said this a couple of times, but I'll talk about this later, but Funko has had a few problems in the past, and that's why they've gone through so many CEOs. They're constantly trying to fix it. They made some mistakes in the past, and they're trying to fix it to this day, 5 years later. But in its latest SEC filing, Funko said that there is substantial doubt about our ability to continue as a going concern for the next 12 months, acknowledging that without new funding or acquisition, it could reach loan covenants and default on debt obligations. A lot of words I don't really understand there. I'm not a finance person, so I don't really understand that fully, but I have a basic idea of it, and I'll talk about that a little bit after this article. The company has roughly $250 million in total debt and has already amended its credit agreement twice in 2025 to secure covenant relief. Funko says it was focused on smaller product lines such as Bitty Pops, blind box collectibles, and its Pop Yourself kiosks, while exploring strategic alternatives including a potential sale. Once $1 billion powerhouse of pop culture merchandise, the company now faces its most uncertain year yet. And I feel like I hear that every single year, and that comes from a lot of Funko fans. Everyone's always saying, oh, Funko's gonna die, Funko's gone. It's not going anywhere. When you have that many franchises connected to your brand, I really don't believe it's gonna go anywhere. Like when people compare it to Beanie Babies and they're like, oh, Funko's are the next Beanie Babies. No. Beanie Babies were just animals. These things are actually rooted in pop culture history. Whether you like them or not, it's there. And I'll be the first to admit that they have been releasing some slop recently in recent years. But to say that they're gonna be forgotten about or the next Beanie Babies is just not true considering how many franchises they have connected to the Funko Pop brand. So many memorable and important franchises. But basically what I got from this reading is that Funko has high debt, financial issues, cash flow issues, whatever it is. And like I mentioned earlier, the sentence saying that they have doubt that it's going to be somewhere in 12 months, I feel like it's more of a legal requirement, because for any publicly traded company, if they have a significant amount of debt, they have to mention that in some way or some form. Do they actually believe that? No. The way I understood it, it doesn't mean more of like a we're gonna shut down. It means more of we need to fix our financial structure ASAP. But that's not what these articles want to report on. They want to say the big headlines like, oh, Funko is dying, Funko is gone, no one likes Funko. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I've done it a few times in the past. It gets a lot of clicks. It gets more clicks than saying that Funko just needs to fix their finances. I also feel like their title was a little bit clickbaity because they said sales crashed and it's only down 14% from the same time last year. Last year they did $290 million of sales in this quarter, and this year they did $250 million with a net income of $1 million about, which honestly, let me just mention, $250 million with a net income of $1 million is insane spending. Where is that money going? But anyways, that's besides the point. And I'll be the first to admit they are on a decline. Things like overproduction, retail slowdown, tariffs rising, demand decline, and their debt rising can all contribute to their steady decline. They had such a huge craze within the pandemic and like the years before too that they started to like overproduce a lot. They started to make a lot of slop and they started to overproduce so many pops, and it kind of came back at them afterwards because when the hype died down after the pandemic, no one was home anymore. They had a lot of extra inventory which they had to actually get rid of in landfills. You might have seen those articles some point in time. They definitely aren't as popular as they once were, but that's okay. I feel like they are starting to do good things that helps the company out. And like I mentioned earlier, Funko is publicly traded, so everything they do, well, almost everything they do financially is available for anyone to see. They do these SEC filings every quarter of the year, I believe. So you can actually look at the numbers and see if any of that stuff in the article is true. And I've debunked some of it so far. But one thing they actually forgot to mention is that Funko didn't miss any sale expectations. They said that the revenue was in line with their expectations for this quarter. Down 14% from last year, sure, but it's still exactly what they forecasted. So take that however you want. And like I mentioned earlier, Walmart actually has mentioned that they are a pretty good seller for them. They put them on their 2025 top toys list this year, specifically the Bitty Pops. The Bitty Pops are doing extremely well for Funko, and according to the CEO, they have been a key contributor to Funko this past year. This is a product breakout for Funko. What this means is that we're not going to stop seeing Bitty Pops anytime soon. It's doing extremely well for them. It's helping them out, so they're going to continue to make them, and I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more Bitty Pops than anything else this next year. I mean, it makes sense. Funko's done so many different lines and they've tried to make something work, and nothing's ever worked up until Bitty Pops. Bitty Pops has done so well for them. Hopefully they don't overproduce them though, like anything else. But Funko is not just sitting there letting this happen to them. By using strategies like introducing new lines instantly, like for K-pop Demon Hunters, they got that license so fast, and that's so important to them because everyone was so excited for the K-pop Demon Hunter pops. Also jumping into that blind box craze with their recent line that they announced. Blind boxes are going crazy, the Labubu's and all that stuff, the Pop Mart stuff this past year have been doing awesome, so Funko's hopping into that with their own take. Stuff like that Funko is doing, they're going to continue doing to try and beat the decline. So the real reason that Funko dropped that line of, oh, we might not be around this time next year, we're going to be gone, is because their debt jumped to $241 million. According to this article, they've renegotiated their credit agreement twice in 2025. I'm not familiar with this stuff by no means. I'm not familiar with any finance stuff, but the way I understand this, it's not that Funko is dying or Funko is losing popularity. It's more of a we suck with our finances. But companies do restructure all the time and have come back from worse than this. Companies like Hasbro, GameStop, and even Disney. When debt spikes, it's not necessarily a death sentence. So what's gonna happen? Realistically, Funko is just gonna continue. They're gonna refinance, fix their debt, continue operating normally, all that kind of fun stuff. Companies do this all the time, like I mentioned. Hasbro restructured their credit facilities in 2023 to improve liquidity during a bad retail market. Mattel also did this. They refinanced as well in 2020 when sales dipped, and then they bounced back when the market recorrected. Maybe you know what? Acquisition does happen. Funko gets bought out by a different toy company. They take over operations, and honestly, this isn't a far-fetched idea. If they're that much in debt and they want to continue to thrive, they might have to be bought out by a different company that can afford it. Funko has a lot of extremely valuable licenses that no other companies have, so honestly, just that alone is very important to them. But they also own other companies like Loungefly, which also make a crazy amount of money. Or you know what? Maybe they do go bankrupt. They stop selling Funko Pops, sales continue to dip, and they fail to raise capital. but the numbers don't really point to that. If Funko does collapse or get sold, Funko Pop's prices would probably spike a lot. Not your random clone trooper, come on, that's not gonna go up in price. But that old Stan Lee Funko Pop you have in your collection, maybe. But since the company isn't shutting down right now, 2026 will probably bring fewer releases, quality control, and more limited edition pops. Those have been doing very, very well for Funko. I think that's a great idea for them to bring back the hype. I think they're on the right track. They just have to focus on cutting down expenses wherever they can, and they have been showing that with things like the getting rid of NFT pops, putting the chase stickers not as stickers anymore and actually on the boxes, stuff like that. They're gonna have to cut down expenses, but honestly, I think it's important to them staying alive. So to conclude, Funko is not dead. They aren't going to go bankrupt in 2026. And this past quarter, quarter 3, proves that they're just trying to fix it and they're working to improve Funko in any way they can. Comment what you think about all of this in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel for more Funko Pop content. That sums up today's video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.